Hello everyone, as you may know, September is National Suicide Prevention Month, and because of that, I wanted to take the opportunity to share my suicide story, and maybe my story will help someone who is suffering with feeling depressed and feeling unwanted and feeling like they're alone in the world. Um, so many people struggle silently with this battle between their mind and reality, and um, not being able to connect the two together. My suicide story isn't really, it's not really the typical suicide story. I guess in a way it is. I was a happy teenager. I had my friends, I had my life. For the most part, I was happy. Um, I did things that normal teenagers did. I hung out with my friends, I went to school. Um, the seventh grade for me was some of the seventh and sixth grade for me was some of the best times of my life. That was when I met some of the friends that I've had now for 10 years. Um, I just was generally a pretty happy kid. And then one day I woke up from my sleep and my whole world was dark. I couldn't see any light in my life. I couldn't feel any happiness in my life. The only thing that I felt was deep sadness. And I remember it felt like being trapped inside of my head. And I remember saying to myself so many times, how did I get here? I just want to get out of here. It didn't even feel like my mind was connected to my body. It felt like I was separate from situations that were happening in my life, and I was watching myself live out this life that wasn't even mine. My depression was right on the surface. Um, you couldn't you couldn't hide my depression because I was I would always call myself sick because I was becoming visibly um, my body was visibly deteriorating because I wasn't eating, and um, I would spend all day in the bed. I didn't didn't hang out with my friends anymore. I could barely go to school, so I had to drop out. Um, there just was no life left in me. I was living a life of emptiness and living a life of pain and not understanding how just I could just wake up and my whole life was destroyed. No major event happened in my life that changed anything. Um, Nobody drove me to that point. It just was, I was happy one day and the next I wasn't. And I just, at some point, I just felt so frustrated when the medicine wasn't working and prayer wasn't working and nothing in my life was working. I just decided to give up. And waking up in a place that I didn't recognize, and having people check up on you every couple of minutes, and being in a room with somebody that you don't know who you're quite frankly afraid of because it's a mental institution and you feel like you're normal, and the girl that's sleeping next to you very well may not be. And the doctor's talking to you and trying to explain to you and trying to help you figure out why you got in the situation that you were in, or why you wanted to commit suicide, or why you were depressed, and you not being able to explain to them because you don't even understand it. And the doctor's wanting to find a cure for you, but going based on this idea of there had to have been something that made you feel the way that you feel. So I went about my life for weeks and months like that, dead. Even after the suicide attempt, it was still empty, and I was still wanting, and I was still needing for something. Not sure. I was not sure at the time what that was. And it took two friends of mine who were seriously concerned and who loved me unconditionally and who sat with me and listened to me explain my story. And they spent that night in that time praying for me and sitting with me and loving on me. And there was no judgment. There was no, well, if you would have, then you could have. They just loved me. And after that night of intense prayer and intense love and intense fellowship with these friends, my world started to look different. And my mind started to uncloud, and my life started to change. But it wasn't just something that happened overnight. It was a struggle, and it was me deciding that I was going to try and push through regardless of anything that tried to tell me that I was worthless. And I began to pray, and I began to look to the Lord for strength. And that was the best decision that I could ever make, because even in times when I wasn't strong enough, I had somebody there with me to help me get through. And even if you don't believe in God, I encourage you to find someone to talk to. And even if it's every day and it's a struggle every day, find someone to sit down and talk to and go through your day with them and tell them how you're feeling. And find someone who will help to motivate you and will encourage you to do the smallest of tasks, because as you take your journey into becoming well again, you'll need to do those small tasks in life. Suicide isn't worth it. It destroys more than it helps. You'll leave behind pain for those that were in your life that you could never have imagined. And even if you think that you're all alone, you're not alone. There are so many people that will be affected by the loss, by the tragic loss of your life. And even if you don't lose your life and you just attempt it, the pain and agony is still there, because they will always have this guilty feeling that it was because of them why you chose to take your life. It's not worth it, and don't continue to be silent when it comes to these things. You can find healing and you can find peace in your life, and there is happiness along the way waiting for you. And just because it feels so bad right now, it's gonna get better. It will. I'll leave my email address in the link below if you would like to contact me and talk to me about something that you're going through in your life. I also will leave the contact information for the Suicide Hotline, some counselors in your area, anything that you need. I'm here for you. There's tons of people that are here for you. There's tons of people that love you and that care about you. Some of them may even be people that you have never met before. I thank you all for watching this video, and I hope that my story helped to show you that you're not alone, and there is hope and there is healing after the struggle. Thank you. Bye.